They've sold you snake oil. They've sold you pipe dreams. They've sold you illusions that only exist in a small fraction of what is real. And what is real is chaos, and what is orderly is fake. None of that exists. So let me tell you, the truth is there are no magic words. But wait, this is a spirituality channel. Why am I saying that? Don't I believe in mantras? Yeah, I believe in mantras. Didn't I say yesterday that Sanskrit is a sacred language? Well, yes, I did. But the deal is, I was told by a tap dancing guru that was on top of a giant cinder block that words have no meaning. And I prayed for that guru to arrive, and so I'm going to take heed to what he said. And it all hit me when it hit me, basically. It hit me at a pretty mundane time. But essentially, what I'm saying is that words are radio stations. See, we don't have control of the octave. We don't have control of the exact frequency of our voice. We don't have control of the exact pattern at which we vibrate. That could happen at any time. My voice is going up and down like that in a very non-specific, disorderly, and chaotic fashion. It's still ordered in the sense that you can understand what I'm saying, but you can understand what I'm saying. So words exist in the collective consciousness only to the degree that we can understand them. And so that means that association creates meaning. Meaning is meaningless. Consciousness creates order. There is no meaning. The natural state of everything is chaos. Chaos is the only thing that's real. But let's go beyond that. If we're in meaning, then we're in a pool of meaning. So let's explore this pool of meaning. Essentially, since words are radio stations, and they have different codes, they have different programs in the collective consciousness, guess what? English is the most widely known language across the entire world. It's the most widely known language. Same with, it used to be Latin that was the most widely known. Why do the magicians use Latin? Well, the whole reason that they use Latin is because it was such a widely known language. That's the whole reason. It exists within the collective consciousness at a greater scale than every other language. But now that's English. So here's the deal. If you know a language, now first, before you use something that exists within the collective consciousness, you actually have to have it downloaded into your brain. So you almost have to download your brain, download things into your brain like an app. You couldn't use an archetype or spirit from a fictional show that you've never seen. Okay? You couldn't write in a language that you've never learned. It's the same principle. Unless you have something downloaded into your brain by repeated experience with it, by repeated experience of watching a show and seeing a character, or by repeated experience of, speaking a language and learning a language as a little kid, learning what each letter means, okay? Then you would not know, okay, how to speak it, how to write in it, okay? So what I'm saying is, those of you who only know English, if you think Latin is the sacred language, if you think Sanskrit is the sacred language, you're not going to be able to learn a single phrase from that language and then make it a chant or make it a mantra and act like that's going to actually do something, because you don't have that language downloaded into your brain. So you can't tap into its radio frequencies that exist in the collective consciousness. You can't tap into its program, and you cannot use its existential meaning. Existential meaning is created by non-existential minds. What the fuck? My camera glitched out for a second there. I thought the video turned off. Anyway, non-existential minds, okay, create this existential reality, this collective consciousness. And you can only tap into what is already downloaded into your brain. So if you want to use a character from a show, then you have to watch the show. You have to know what you're doing. Watch the show to know, so that you can use what you know. Alright? And that means that mantras like Satanama, okay? Satanama, which means the ego, death, and rebirth, is essentially what it breaks down to. Okay? So the purity that turns into the coded program that then dies and is reborn as something new. Satanama is the program or the vibration, the radio frequency that I used when I was making my sigil to overcome addictions. And why did it work? Why did it work? Because I've known of the Satana mantra for long enough that at least Satanama is downloaded into my brain. And I know what it's supposed to mean, and therefore I was able to tap into that frequency. You can do the same thing with a lot of different mantras, but they're not going to be nearly as useful as if you just used your first language. Because I've been using this mantra for that specific purpose, it's going to work better than if I were to say ego, death, rebirth, ego, death, rebirth, ego, death, rebirth. It's going to work better to use Satanama because I've been using Satanama for a very long time. The same thing with Rama, Da, Sa, Sa, Se, So, Hung. Do you know Ka, Ra, Ya, Sa, Ta, Ha, La, which is a mantra, the crystal mantra, isn't real. It was a figment of everyone's imagination. It was created by a YouTube channel called Spirit Science. I believed them blindly. Okay, that was never an actual mantra that existed before Spirit Science created it and acted as though it was real. Whoa, the fucking laugh came back. The fucking laugh came back. I don't know what the fuck that laugh is. Anyway, Spirit Science created it. It was never a real thing. The mantras for each chakra were never that. But you who have been watching my channel know that you've been using those mantras to vibrate and resonate with those chakras. Ka, Ra, Ya, Ta, Sa, whatever the fuck. None of their vibrations actually matter. Only the radio frequencies don't matter. What's on those radio frequencies actually matters. Since all of you, all the people that watch Spirit Science, all the people that have given into this myth, which is a myth, have given it the meaning. They have created the program. It was never there to begin with. Meaning. Order. None of it's real. Consciousness creates the order. Okay? So yeah, I will continue to use, and everyone else should continue to use, the Ka, Ra, Ya, Sa, Ta, Ha, La mantra for each of the chakras, and to bring divinity down into each chakra. But was that its original meaning? It didn't have any original meaning. It's brand new. Created very recently. This is the same way religions work. They will create their deities. You see, men, women, humans think that humans are created by gods when humans create the gods. There was one God. There is one God. The one God. The one God is something without meaning. Something infinite. If you take every number, okay, you can count from 1 and you never can stop counting because there will always be a new combination of the 9, 10 numbers. Okay? 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. There will always be an infinite combination of them. If you take all those numbers, okay, that's an infinity. Now, if you take all of those numbers and all of the combinations of 2 that can be made, so 1 and 2, 1 and 3, 1 and 4, 1 and 5, 1 and 1, that's a bigger infinity than the first infinity, because there's obviously, if you take it from just 1 to 9, there's more combinations than there are numbers. So what about 3 number combinations? That's a bigger infinity. 4 number combinations. Infinite infinities. Each one bigger than the last. The bigger you go, you run out of meaning. You run out of codes in certain things. You must go to other things. God is good. God is evil. God is both. God is yin. God is yang. God is both. God is the Tao. God is nothing. God is both. God is everything and nothing at the same time. And there's only one. And there's many. Infinite, in fact. Infinite separation. Everything is separate and anything and everything is one. All things are one. But you must realize consciousness creates all of this order. And originally, there is chaos. That is the original thing. We've fooled ourselves into believing that there's meaning in anything we say except the perceived meaning of what we say. We perceive the meaning of what we say, and the people that hear what we say perceive the meaning of what we say. But if I say to a Chinese man, and a Chinese man says to me, hello, and neither of us understand each other's language, it is just noise in the end. Meaning is meaningless. And sound is meaningful. Sound is meaningless. All things are without meaning until you apply the meaning, okay? There is nothing sacred. There is no sacred sound. There is no sacred language. Everything exists as we make it to exist. We create our own paradigms. There is no paradigm that is real. Now, as I said, an infinity of combinations. Let's make it 3D. Numbers are linear, but let's make it 3D. 5 particles, and one bubble of space, where each particle could exist. Such a minute difference in change of location could be a whole new universe. The biggest universe is not real. If you compare the finite to the infinite, it will always be the same ratio, which is unknown. To compare finite to infinity, it will always be the same ratio. The biggest infinity is that we'll never perceive, because there will always be a bigger infinity. There is an infinite number of infinities. But let's talk about the one infinity that I've perceived in the Multiverse Foundation. God is an octopus. And what I mean by that is billions and trillions and infinities of different universes. Infinities of different astral planes, different mental planes, different dimensions, and different variations of dimensions, different spaces, different particles, different atoms, different people, different variations of people's personalities, different archetypes, different arc paths, different electrons. All that exists within universes. So imagine that each universe is an arm of God, if God is an octopus, and they all reach out, okay? As dimensions go higher, they reach into a single octopus head. So you go further up the octopus arm, you reach its head, eventually. And in that octopus head, there is the infinities of all infinities. Every infinity that could be. That which is indefinable, formless, and chaotic. That which is real. That is God. So God is an octopus. That which is infinite. So if you enjoyed this video, leave a like, subscribe, comment, and share. Goodbye.